Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting Radio. EB Radio. EB Radio. Your station for empowerment presents Mom Boss Talk Radio, a show that brings real life, real moms, and real experiences to empower mom bosses everywhere to be ambitious, highly driven, fierce, fabulous, and fearless. Mom Boss Talk Radio begins now.
Welcome, Mom Bosses all over the world. It's another amazing Thursday, and although it's been a while, we are back, and it's time for another great discussion with the Mom Bosses. As you know already, we are so happy and excited to just be here, and happy you're joining us. This show is three Mom Bosses bringing you real life, real experiences to empower you as a mom boss. I am one of three of your amazing hosts. My name is Jerisha. I'm joined by Kiana and Monyetta, and we're super excited, ladies.
Hello. You know, something is, if you're in the Midwest, it's getting cold, okay? It's started to snow, but I think this topic really resonates with a lot of moms out there. Budgeting, okay, and not just for the holidays, but of course, the holidays is around, so we definitely need to talk about how we are keeping our money and our funds in our pockets and not spending too much of it. Now, I personally don't celebrate holidays, and that's fine. Everybody is different, okay? Everybody got their own thing going on. And I know for me, my biggest thing is birthdays, so I try to budget, trying to make sure that the kids are happy, they get what they want. But I'm like, let me see what deals are out there, okay? I look at the red, I look at the sales sign and see what's going on. Okay, so ladies, how are y'all budgeting? How are y'all keeping that money in your pockets?
That's so good.
Well,
Kiana,
for me, I am really big about out-of-season shopping, so I'm getting stuff all year long, not necessarily just at Christmas time, but for birthdays, different things like that. If I see something that I know would be a great gift to put up for later, or a special occasion, not just with the kids, but friends, family, different things like that. So I'm really big on out-of-season shopping and getting good deals then, before the whole holiday rush, because I don't want to be in the stores with all these people. I know years ago everybody was fighting over Tickle Me Elmos, and every year it's something different, and I don't have time to do that. So now it's easier, with online shopping and things like that to kind of avoid. But when it comes to the savings, it's definitely I like to try to shop out of season.
That's good. I love that, because I feel like I do that as well, or at least try to. But my thing is, and I think Monyetta said this too, it's all about the sales, even the clearance. So I generally don't like buying things that are not on sale. And that's just period. That's just me. And that's really within reason too, because some things, it's like, okay, you have to make that purchase. But for the most part, and my kids know this as well, that we look for the sales, we look for the deals, we coupon. Yep. Yes, I love coupons. So we do all of that. But when it comes down to budgeting, I have always, utilized a system for budgeting, and I use like spreadsheets and keeping track of my budget. And this is not just from home, personal, but also business. And, they have, their software and all that out there too that I utilize for business purposes. So like your QuickBooks and all of that. Yeah. But from, a personal standpoint, in which I've always utilized like spreadsheets, but keeping track of my budget. And I tell you, I've grown over the years. So I've tried so many different things. But it seems like I always go back to spreadsheets and they have those budget trackers. I have a planner that I utilize for budgeting. I think that the key thing is to actually utilize some kind of system. And so that's the one thing I would honestly encourage everybody, especially, because the fact that, those that do celebrate the holidays and, have a budget. And it's like, okay, you have whatever budget it is that you're going to spend. And not just the holidays, but, Marietta mentioned birthdays, whatever it may be. If you have it in your budget, in your planning and saving for it, then it makes a huge difference so that you're not having to, it's unexpected and all of that. One of the things I will mention, too, along with spreadsheets and planners and all of that, and that may not sound like fun to most, but it's fun to me. I know it's weird. It's okay. But one of the things, too, that I started doing probably several years back is using the cash envelopes, too. So the cash envelope system is pretty amazing, and I said that I was going to kick this back up at the beginning of the year because it's such a great system. So if you're not familiar with the cash envelope system is, definitely do your research. There's tons of YouTube videos and out there for people that does that helps them stick to a budget. And where, if you are, from mom bosses, so you have a lot of mom bosses that are still in the 9-to-5 in the corporate world. And so it's where you can, allocate a certain amount of money that you're going to either stuff in cash envelopes. They do have like apps and systems to where you can do things online with your banking and just have money that transfers into certain accounts that you set and how, what your goal is and all of that. And it's pretty amazing because it helps you stay on track and within budget. And I'll tell you, just to give you an example. So with the kids, we have, with the cash envelope system, we have a eating out, budget. And so they know that when I stuff money into the cash envelope for that amount, if that money is gone for that week or however, then that's it. We're not eating out anymore. So I think it's a really good system to not just have for yourself, but also to introduce your kids to how to save and setting those goals, those money goals and all of that. So I'm really happy that we're having this discussion tonight because I really think, especially at this time of the year where I feel like as moms, and maybe not just as moms, but in general, people have a tendency to spend way more money than they really need to.
Yeah.
And I said a long time ago that I was done with that. So that used to be my life where, it's like always going overboard with spending all kinds of money around the holidays and stuff that, you couldn't even tell now. Like if I was to ask the kids where their gifts were for from 3 or 4 years ago, they probably wouldn't even know. It probably is now at this point in the trash. But I'm just saying. Yeah. So my thing is I don't want to have to spend money on things that's unnecessary. And so unnecessary purchases, meaning, and of course you want to be able to get things for your kids that they want. But even they are starting to look at things differently. Like, do I really need this? Do I really want this? And they are saving as well. So, when you have teenagers and even younger kids, they can begin to save their own money. And I have to say this, too, because I felt like this was pretty exciting when I found this out. So, excuse me. But they now, and so, I'm sure everybody is familiar with the Cash App and all of that good stuff. I don't know anybody that doesn't really have the Cash App now. But they wrote it out for kids. And
really?
They wrote it out. Yeah. So, but let me say that there's an age. There is an age on it. But, so. Okay. I'm here I say this, and I'm just, I don't know what the age is, but I want to say it's 13 and up, I think. 13. I think it's either 13 or 14 and up. But I knew that my teenagers, it would have been perfect for them because for those that are familiar with, what is the name of those apps? I think one is called Greenlight and one is like Go Henry or something like that. We've done both of those, okay? And we just recently, I think it's called Greenlight. If it's not, I apologize to all the listeners. But it's where you can have a little card, debit card, or however little card for the kids. And you can actually send money onto the card from your account. It allows them to earn money. And so we've utilized both of those, but when they rolled out the Cash App, I was like, oh, this is great because the other cards charge you a fee for it, and they don't charge a fee with the Cash App. So I wanted to put that out there. So, because it allows the kids to have their Cash App card because they're allowed to get a card too. And and so as they get money, either as I send money, as they earn money, as, they get money in gifts or whatever from other people, it allows them to have their card. When we go to the store, they can utilize it and, spend their money. You like how I emphasize their money instead of mine. So I think that's, I think those are some things that I, thought was really good and could truly be helpful for some of those, mom bosses out there. So I just wanted to, throw that out there. But, I love the fact that we're talking about this.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I'm going to be, transparent and honest. I was not the smartest when it came to money. I never understood the true, value of money. When I was younger, in my 20s, I always looked at it. I never really budgeted. I never really, I tried to save, but it's like, oh, I see something shiny and I have to buy it. So I did not have a healthy relationship with money. And over the past, I say 3-4 years, that really changed. And I kind of feel like you have to get yourself together to figure out a way to not touch money that's coming in. Like, you need to understand finances and budgeting, because I'm like, I want my children to understand. I'm like, you can't teach them something that you don't understand. I had to I have to bring in reinforcement. I have a really good friend who has been helping me build my career, has been helping me look at money completely different, and she's helping me build something great. And that's why I'm like, budgeting is very important. I didn't know about the Cash App, but I did open my kids a bank account where none of us can touch it. So when they turn 18, they'll be able to get it. And which I'm like, okay, this is what they need, because they're starting to, they get money here and there, for certain things, and they're so quick to want to spend it. I'm like, no, save something. So to, teach them. I'm learning alongside them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ashamed to say a lot of adults are not, financially savvy. But, budgeting, especially tips like the spreadsheet, apps, there's a lot of resources out there that will help you, and reach small goals. I would say a tip for budgeting is set small goals. You will not disappoint yourself if you, if you set small goals, you'll be able to reach it, and you'll get excited. Like, oh man, I saved $50 this week. Bam. Next week, okay, another 50. Bam. You go up $65. Like, you have to jump in it gradually. You don't want to, just jump head first. You're going to get confused. You're going to be disappointed because once you don't hit that mark, you're going to feel terrible. And I'm saying this from experience. And now that I'm more aware, and I'm still learning, I would like to get into investments, and that's a whole nother show. But like this is definitely something to look into. Like you were saying, you buy things that you don't need. You look at things, and it's just like, oh, it's so pretty. I have stuff that that's sitting there that I bought because I thought it looked nice, but I'm not even touching it. I'm not even wearing it. So it's like, okay, you have to really put your priorities in order. Kids, you pretty much get them pretty much anything. And well, for my kids anyway, a lot of kids aren't really picky, unless it's electronics. If you're going to get the best of something, sure you get top quality, technology. But for anything else, it's like name brand stuff is not really, important to me, in my opinion. Kids, they pretty much like the little YouTube videos, TikTok videos, they'll, the parent will put like a spoon in front of a child and then put a toy, and they'll play with the spoon all the time and just disregard the $50 toy. So it's just a matter of like understanding what your family wants, what your family needs. I think their needs should be way over what they want. And, if they're, a lot of kids, they're going to be appreciative of whatever you get them because it's you.
That's right.
You see? So that's just, my little take on that.
No, that's good. I think that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, you have anything
true.
you want to add?
Oh, I was just agreeing with everything Monietta said. A lot of the times, I know in the past, especially with the oldest one, I would buy her all the things I kind of wanted when I was little, like, oh, yeah, she'll love this. And she didn't even play with it. It was more me wanting the stuff than she wanted it, But then I'd be like, why aren't you playing with your toys? And, because she didn't want it. It was just what I wanted for her. Or, just being in the position to say, oh, well, especially it being the first, And like I said, a lot of the times I was buying things that I would have wanted versus what she really needed. Whereas now, over the years, it's more of a thing of, like I said, a lot of the times when the gifts that I buy, they're learning toys. They're things that, are going to help advance, their STEM related products or, things that are really going to help with her future and, her whole development. And so, even just rethinking, here I'm looking at possibly getting stocks for the kids this year, something that, is going to gain value versus depreciate as soon as, they break it or it gets lost or just whatever that may be. And like, again, going back into teaching, savings and, money management to your kids. And so just being intentional about what I'm buying and the purpose it's serving. And, like Jerisha said earlier, sticking to a budget. This is what I'm allowing to come out of my budget per kid, per friend, or making homemade gifts, even sometimes. So I know I had a lot of people are like, oh, will you please make some fudge this year? And so, it's as long as it comes from the heart, like Monietta said, they'll love it. Regardless of who that person is.
That's right. And I love the fact that we're having this conversation because I feel like, especially around this time, some of us don't necessarily really want to talk about money because of the holidays and how much probably we're overspending. And so we just really want to reiterate to all the mom bosses out there that, some of us haven't always had like a real budget in place. I think, each of us have pretty much shared that at one point we didn't have a real budget. And I mean, let's be honest that it's a process, it's a process that we're all wanting to continue to, learn through and work on with saving and budgeting and certainly investing as well. But I think some key things to remember is that when we think about budgeting is not tracking your money. Budgeting is planning your money. And we each want to be able to do that around this time throughout the year. So I love really talking about finances and budgeting and all of that because I really feel like we can help each other. We can empower each other. Monietta mentioned working with someone that, has been able to help as far as, just, helping her from a financial standpoint from credit and everything else. And I think that's where, as mom bosses, we have to recognize when, there's only so much that we can do. And sometimes we need to reach out and consult with, the experts and ask them to help us with whatever it is, financial. So if it's a financial advisor or get financial advice, make sure you're going and seeking out what you need to for yourself as a mom boss, because I truly feel like as mom bosses, that's what when it's time for you to seek out that advice from someone else, an expert. So this has been really good, and this has been fun, especially at this time of year when, this is normally the conversation where we start talking about next year and preparing And what better to talk about than finances right now and holidays and gifts and all of that, especially when we're rolling into the season. And I'll just go out there. I'll just say this and put this out there, too, as far as my own kids, because we're doing things probably a little different from how we generally do with just purchases for the holidays and all of that. So my kids, I tell them, you have give me a few different options, and I normally will purchase things, and we'll go out and get things from that. But for the most part, it's really, kids want to be able to purchase their own things sometimes, and so that's kind of what we're kind of kicking off and doing. For this year, there are some things, but I don't know. I think when you have teenagers, things are a little different, and their list is a little different as far as the things they want, not just necessarily for the holidays, but for birthdays and all of that. I think as kids get older, of course, we know they get more expensive, and their gifts get more expensive, the things that they want. And so, again, that's where going back into having the kids be able to save for those things. They appreciate it a whole lot more than, when we go out and just purchase those things. But in closing, is there anything else that you ladies feel like, we should mention before we close out the show today?
I would like to just, for anyone listening, me being in my 30s, it doesn't matter how old you are. It's okay if you don't understand budgeting. You don't, it's not too late. You can always, start saving and figuring out and building a true healthy relationship with your finances, so that way you can, because I'm speaking from experience, okay, because knowing where my money is going and how it's coming in and what, is allocated to, it's comforting. And, being able to, organize everything properly has helped a whole lot. So don't be discouraged of, where you are in life, what you're doing, what job you have. It doesn't matter what salary you're making, a little bit at a time will build up, so I'm just giving you words of encouragement, lots of, virtual hugs. You have this, you got this. Build a healthy relationship, if not for you, for your children, for your legacy, so that way, we see something different for our future. So that's my little tidbit.
That's good.
Well, that was. And so to wrap up what both of y'all said, because y'all definitely brought up great points. And so what I want to end on, to summarize all that is, again, it is a holiday season. We got, about 23 days or so left in this year. Do not go broke trying to impress people, trying to buy things that you can't really afford, because after these little 30 days is over, January is coming. A lot of us who do own businesses, we have taxes and things like that to be accounting for and coming up. So, that's just where I wanted to end that on. Find creative ways instead of always just, rushing to spend money that you may not need to be spending on gifts that, like we said, may be in a corner a couple months from now, so.
That's good. Well, I think there it is. Mom Bosses, you have heard it from all three of us. I can't just reiterate enough that the thing is, if you don't have a budget, if you don't know what a budget is, the thing is to learn. It is to start somewhere. So take those baby steps that, was talked about today and start a budget. Pull out that piece of paper, that notebook paper. It doesn't have to be fancy in a planner. It doesn't have to be in a spreadsheet. The fact is that you need to just start doing it. And certainly if you have a business, there's no time. Are you looking to launch a business? There's no time like now to start really, budgeting and looking at those things. And don't, like Kiana said, do not go broke, okay, because we know the tax season is right around the corner. So we truly hope that you have enjoyed tonight's show. Again, we are Mom Bosses on a mission to empower moms all over the world. Mom Bosses, remember to be ambitious, highly driven, fierce, fabulous, and fearless, because you're making moves and you got this. Until next time, have a great evening.
Thank you for joining us on Mom Boss Talk Radio. Follow each of the Mom Bosses on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you love Mom Boss Radio, visit the website at www.envisionedbroadcasting.com. We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time.